Welcome to Mind Mastery Meditation and Mindfulness for high school students. In this module, we will explore an important idea. Thoughts are not facts. This is one of the most useful skills you can learn for handling stress, anxiety, self-doubt, and strong emotions. Many students assume that if they think something, it must be true. For example, if the mind says, "I am going to fail," or "nobody likes me," it can feel as if that thought is reporting reality. But in this module, we will learn that thoughts are often interpretations, predictions, worries, memories, or mental stories. They are real as thoughts, but they are not always true as facts. As we move through the module, you will learn how the mind works, why it keeps producing thoughts, and how mindfulness helps you step back and observe your thinking more clearly. This will prepare you to respond with more calm, more wisdom, and more self-control in everyday life. In this module, we have several clear goals. By the end, you should understand what thoughts are and why the brain keeps producing them all the time. This is important because many people think something is wrong with them if their mind is busy. In reality, a thinking mind is what the brain naturally does. You will also learn a key lesson. Having a thought does not make it true. A thought can feel powerful, convincing, and emotional, but that does not automatically make it accurate. Another goal is to help you recognize common thinking patterns that can increase stress and anxiety. Sometimes the mind exaggerates, assumes the worst, or jumps to conclusions. When you can identify those patterns, they become easier to work with. You will also develop the skill of observing thoughts without being controlled by them. This means noticing what the mind is saying without immediately reacting. Finally, you will practice mindfulness techniques that create space between thoughts and actions. That space is where better choices become possible. So this module is not just about understanding the mind. It is also about learning how to work with the mind in a healthier and more skillful way. Let us now look at the structure of the module so you know where we are going. We begin with Meet Your Thinking Mind, which introduces the basic idea that the mind is always active and always producing thoughts. Then, in Why Your Brain Never Stops Thinking, we will explore the science behind that process, including why constant thinking is normal. After that, in Thoughts Are Stories, Not Reality, we will focus on the difference between mental events and actual facts. This lesson is central to the whole module. Next, we move into Common Thinking Traps, where you will learn to spot patterns such as overthinking, catastrophizing, or assuming the worst. These patterns often make situations feel more stressful than they really are. Then, in Becoming the Observer, we begin shifting from theory to practice. You will learn how to notice thoughts from a little distance instead of getting pulled into them. That leads naturally into the guided meditation, Watching Thoughts, where you will practice this skill directly. After that, in Respond Instead of React, you will learn how mindfulness helps you make better choices in real situations. Finally, you will complete a weekly challenge and reflection, followed by a module quiz to help reinforce your understanding. The total time for this module is approximately 83 minutes, and each part builds on the previous one. So as you continue, try to see the module as one connected journey from understanding thoughts to learning how to handle them wisely. Now that you have seen the roadmap, let us focus on the first area of learning, knowledge. In this module, you will build a clear understanding of how thoughts work. First, you will understand why the brain constantly generates thoughts. This matters because if you believe a busy mind is a personal failure, you may become frustrated with yourself. But when you understand that thinking is a normal brain function, you can respond with more patience. Second, you will learn the difference between thoughts, emotions, and facts. These are not the same thing. A thought might say, "This is a disaster." An emotion might be fear or embarrassment. A fact might simply be, "I made a mistake on one test." When we confuse these three things, we often suffer more than necessary. You will also learn how thoughts influence emotions and behavior. A single thought can change how you feel, and how you feel can affect what you do next. For example, thinking, "I cannot handle this," may lead to anxiety and avoidance. Understanding this chain helps you interrupt it. Another important topic is common cognitive distortions. This is the formal term for inaccurate or unhelpful thinking patterns. Learning to recognize them helps you become more mentally aware and less easily misled by your own mind. Finally, you will understand how mindfulness creates psychological distance from thoughts. This means you learn to see a thought as something happening in the mind, rather than something you must obey. This idea will become even more practical in the later lessons and meditation practice. Along with knowledge, this module will help you build specific skills. These skills are what make the learning useful in real life. The first skill is to notice thoughts without immediately believing them. This is a major step in emotional maturity. Instead of accepting every thought as truth, you begin to pause and observe. The second skill is to label thinking patterns. For example, you may notice, this is catastrophizing, or this is mind reading, or this is self-criticism. When you can name a pattern, it often becomes less powerful. You stop being trapped inside it and start seeing it clearly. You will also learn to interrupt negative thinking loops. Sometimes the mind repeats the same fear, worry, or memory again and again. Mindfulness helps break that loop by bringing attention back to what is actually happening in the present moment. Another skill is to return attention to the present moment. This is important because many stressful thoughts are about the past or the future. Training attention helps reduce mental drifting and emotional overload. Finally, you will learn to make wiser decisions during emotional situations. This does not mean you will never feel upset. It means you will be better able to pause, notice what is happening in your mind, and choose your response instead of acting automatically. These skills will be practiced more directly in the upcoming lessons, especially as we move from understanding the thinking mind to becoming the observer of it. The final part of this introduction is about mindset. Mindset is important because how you relate to your thoughts can shape your whole experience. First, understand that everyone experiences unwanted thoughts. You are not strange, weak, or broken if your mind produces negative, random, embarrassing, or anxious thoughts. This is part of being human. Knowing this can reduce shame and help you meet your experience with more honesty. Second, remember that thoughts are mental events, not commands. A thought may say, give up, run away, or you are not good enough. But a thought is not an order you must follow. It is an event happening in the mind. Third, the goal of this module is not positive thinking. We are not trying to force cheerful thoughts or pretend everything is fine. That usually does not work for long, and it can even feel fake. Instead, the real goal is clear thinking. Clear thinking means seeing thoughts for what they are, recognizing when they are helpful or unhelpful, and responding with awareness rather than confusion. This mindset connects everything in the module. First, you understand that the mind thinks constantly. Then, you learn that not every thought is true. After that, you practice observing thoughts with mindfulness so that your actions come from clarity, not from automatic reaction. That is the central skill this module is designed to help you develop.